Hey, Stephanie, want to see something cool?
I've never said no to that, so sure.
No, I hate it.
I hate cool
I'd
things.
rather have today be completely uneventful and nothing happens.
I mean, sometimes that's nice.
Yeah, well, this production happened here. Right, check this out. This is neat. I can't believe he did that in front of everyone. I saw him drown. I saw Sydney drown, and Flynn thinks he's the only one that hurts. He thinks he's the only one in a nightmare? Well, maybe I haven't told him everything, because I don't want him to have those images in his head. Well, maybe. I just wish I could go back to that day.
Wow, this is so authentic.
It's really cool.
That is very cool.
I don't know what the Limbus Company is, but neat. It's some kind of crossover idea between Echo and Limbus Company by these people. Check them out.
Dude, very anime. I loved it. Very dynamic.
Yeah, I think it's an anime-ish video game. Like, but I have not seen it. I don't know what's going on.
The chains crossing the screen is really reminiscent of something, and
yeah.
it's like.
Well,
that's on the tip of my tongue.
Doesn't something like that happen in like the second intro to Full Metal Alchemist? Or is that chain link fence? There's some kind of industrial thing added.
Chain link fence is in one of the seasons of Brotherhood.
I don't know.
But I don't even think it might be the second one, but it's not from the first series.
I thought it was the second half of the first show.
Dude, oh my gosh, I can't even think of the music that shows when the chain link fence shows up. Oh, my brain blast.
My brain blast. Ah, oh god. Caught my headphone wire. Alright, we're back to the video game. Right, so we're in the middle of this mess. Oh, right, I'm Flynn now. I voiced Flynn the whole time in the narration now. Now I remember.
Oh, yes, yes.
We're meeting
your poor voice.
We're essentially meeting Chase for the first time at this point, which is weird to think about. Since we've both on that, we're now seeing him from the outside for the first time, and he's a different character now.
Chase would be cuter if he was nicer, but maybe he isn't. But
if he was not, maybe he is nice.
Yeah, I know. He's been possessed, but
Yeah, it can be frustrating to talk about Echo sometimes, because if you ever want to talk about the issues characters have, there's kind of a built-in defense of, well, they were possessed anyway, so that's not really the character, is like what you get in response all the time. But especially in the case of characters like Leo, it's like, okay, but that's the only character, the version of Leo that is under the influence of whatever is the only one we ever meet. So the one people are hypothetically defending is an off-camera, like, headcanon character, basically.
Well, but I'd also like to throw in the whole adage about... It's okay, first of all, I think that's bullshit about Leo. I get the impression he's probably like that anyway. But I'm going to throw in the old adage of, like, hey, if a person acts a certain way when they're drunk, or if they act a certain way, like, in their dreams, maybe that's implying something about them that is actually consistent.
Yeah.
It's
character traits that are like heightened for drama and horror and so on, but if we hand wave the idea that they're like that at all, then you don't have a character. Like, you're hand waving the entire character as we know them at some point. So it's like, it's just kind of uninteresting. It's like, I think about...
It's like, well, what can we talk about,
Yeah, like, I think about it's like the equivalent of, like, when people have very strange fan theories where they say that, like, oh, the entirety of Mass Effect 3 didn't happen because Shepard was indoctrinated and the whole thing was being hallucinated. Or like in The Shining, when people come up with these frankly misogynist theories that the mother was actually the one abusing their son, and the entire movie is her delusions, and none of it's actually happening. And it's like, okay, one, weird that you saw a movie about a wife being abused and somehow managed to recanonize it in your head as being actually she's the bad guy the whole time. That's got strange implications for you as a person to reinterpret The Shining that way. But more to my point is just the fact that, like, okay, if your interpretation is the whole thing isn't real, then you just don't have a movie.
Well, that's why people get,
Like,
that's why people get so mad
movie,
about that.
Then none of the movie happened.
That's why
you're not replacing it with anything. You're just replacing it with nothing. You're just like, and none of it's real.
That's why everyone considers that kind of ending to be one of the most frustrating endings you can ever give anything, because it's like, well, then I wasted all my time because this obviously meant nothing. Honestly, even a dream sequence that is like one episode of a show pisses me off. I'm just like, well, fuck. Like, none of that's canon. At the very least, if you're going to have... It has
to be some kind of exploration of the characters or have some direct meaning
some
that's
psychonauts nonsense where you're in their dreams and, like, you're interpreting something about them.
Right,
or they learn
I showed you that episode
lesson.
of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and that was, like, a good example of, like, these two characters are stuck in this delusion together, but, like, it has clear implications to their relationship and the story, and it isn't, like, a throwaway episode.
Like, Donnie Darko... and if it shouldn't be a spoiler because it's an old movie, guys, but at the end of Donnie Darko, he changes the timeline, but the implication is that everyone in the timeline that he is now in has been affected by the existence of the other timeline in which he performed actions. Like, I think that ending is great because at the end it's implied that every single person is in some way, like, moved in a way they don't understand because in a separate timeline the whole movie took place. Like, and it's shown and conveyed as being something that actually did matter, in even like a slight, like, kind of off-kilter way, or like Butterfly Effect, where maybe Ashton Kutcher learned something at the end of it. A very memorable movie for how bad it was.
Butterfly Effect.
It comes up for me so often.
Movie.
I think about it like more frequently than I should for like how mediocre I feel like it actually was.
I mean, that's not wrong. Like that's me in Zero Escape. It's a deeply frustrating series, and it bothers me. But I constantly think about the idea of like, but you could like go back and do it well. Like I to the point where I'm like, should I make a Zero Escape? And then I'm now playing a game that is itself an attempt to. It seems to be an intentional attempt to make their own Zero Escape too, because we're playing Password with Toaster, and like that. Like early on, I was joking about it, being like, it's a little bit like Zero Escape, but then at some point, it just is Zero Escape. You're like, oh fuck, they're just doing Zero Escape. I didn't think this would happen. Like sometimes certain types of art just affect people and make you think about them all the time, and you want to riff on them. It's kind of like the idea of like when we talk about remakes, like you would want to remake the thing that wasn't good enough the first time, not the thing that was already good.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah, exactly. Like Suicide Squad was so bad it needed a reboot, remake. That's just true. But no, when I think about fan interpretations of media like this, like with Echo, the question I always have is whether or not the interpretation actually heightens the art and adds depth to it, or if you're flattening it or destroying it. And if your fan interpretation is a lazily constructed way to defend against criticism of a character that you just have decided to like extremely like ally yourself with for some reason, even though they're not real, but the act of doing so unmakes the story, then to the point where there's nothing to talk about really, then it's not a very good interpretation of the art, unless you just don't respect the art itself and think that it never was good or something. Like, presumably if you're a fan of Echo, you think it has something to say and has a point with these characters. So if your interpretations of characters is to just remove all agency and responsibility from them and deflect against any idea of ever interpreting their flaws because, they were under the influence of Echo or whatever, then like, okay, you've stopped the conversation instead of continuing it. Like, that's not interesting.
Yeah, like, I'm going to disregard every, like, facet that the creator gave this character in order for them to be my perfect individual. And it's like, well, just make your own character then.
But yeah, things are more complicated with Chase because there was literally a second person doing something in there. And we had to figure out Samuel. But then there's other weird stuff to unpack where even Samuel, from what I hear, just isn't the same person in the smoke room. So I don't really know how to, like...
consolidate.
I don't really know how to fully interpret that character necessarily, because although I guess the idea there is that this just isn't actually Samuel. People call the entity Samuel thing because it's like it's the Samuel thing. It's some kind of Samuel-like entity that has persisted in the mines but doesn't seem to have like there's like echoes of his memories and things, but it's not like his literal personality, because I don't think that I'm guessing that the gay romance visual novel prequel doesn't star a nightmare monster man who who would want to do most of the things that the one in this game has done throughout here.
I mean, you know, there's very sexy villains, but he's usually not like the main guy. You know?
Yeah. All I know is that when you go all the way back to the scene where Carl jacks off Chase in his parents' bed, that's a foursome. There were so many people involved in that scene when you think about it. They were both possessed. There's so many characters in that room.
Dude, I mean, I don't know.
The story gets complicated, as I'll talk about. It's complicated.
Well, now I was just thinking, like, if I was a ghost, if I'd... I wonder if coming back and possessing a person is just, like, heightened. Like, it just makes things extra good. I wonder if ghosts could just go do that for fun. Like, I'm gonna go possess...
It's just their kink.
You know, it's like when all those people took, like, Lunesta, and they, like, started cheating on their wives, and there was, like, a lawsuit about it. Do you remember that? Yeah. So, I think it's Lunesta. It's like a sleep aid, and there was, like, legitimately a lawsuit because a bunch of people went off and actually, like... they went off and, like, lived whole nights where they went and actively did things that they didn't remember at all. They were, like, completely possessed.
What the fuck?
And granted, people can obviously argue, like, oh, a whole bunch of guys cheated on their wives. Like, oh, how convenient. Or I think, wives and husbands cheated on their partner. You know, everyone cheated. But it's
if
like...
it was in the media, there's almost the idea that people could be using it as, like, an excuse. Like,
well, I think it kind of, I mean,
like
perhaps.
Copycat killer stuff.
But people were, like, they were talking to people and making decisions and driving cars. And, like, they were doing things that were normal, but they were, like, under the influence of Lunesta. And they got super sued. Like, you don't see those commercials anymore.
No.
And people started doing it recreationally after that.
Oh.
But yeah, no. I honestly forgot what I was tying that into. I got distracted by my own thoughts about Lunesta.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What were we talking about? Why did I talk about Lunesta?
I'm just staring at your Joker hair.
Oh yeah, I just dyed my hair green, guys.
Yeah, she's finished.
On a whim, yeah.
Yep. She changed her hair?
Sorry, the new animation's coming out. I'm really excited about it.
Coming.
Yep.
The front door is pushed open. Jenna standing in the doorway.
Guys, you should get out of here.
She spots Chase steadying himself against the desk, her eyes widening and her ears flicking back momentarily.
Oh, Chase, you're here. And where are your clothes? There's spiders in them.
Carl mutters.
Okay, just get out here.
Jenna heads back out. Chase pushes himself off the desk, beginning to walk forward like a zombie from one of those old VHS films we used to watch.
Whoa, man. Don't you have, like, some spare touristy shirts and stuff around here somewhere?
Do you seriously think Echo gets enough tourists to justify merchandise?
I think there's a lot of people in this audience who'd buy Echo-themed tourist shirts. Saying.
It's very ironic, given that Echo itself does have merchandise in real life.
Well, Flynn just doesn't know. He's not a very good steward of the land.
It's not his world. I just need to get back to the motel. Clinic first. The otter stumbles a bit, and though with some hesitation. Okay, that's just, I had to catch up with how kind of strangely phrased the sentence feels. The otter stumbles a bit, and though with some hesitation, Carl and I take him by each shoulder and help him up to the door.
It's because the commas were in the wrong spot.
It threw me.
It should be and though, comma. Oh, wait, and, comma, though. Wait, and...
I would just get rid of the word. I don't know, whatever. Just get rid of the word though, honestly. With some hesitation, Carl and I, just the though really threw me.
An elementary school teacher would say, make those two separate sentences.
Yeah. That's my problem.
For clarity.
That's half of my essay scripts are me just writing, like, a continual run-on paragraph.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
Adding random periods into it, basically. Which is why a lot of my sentences begin with a capitalized and. I make sure to grab my rifle, though. You still didn't answer my question. Chase says nothing. We exit City Hall and are instantly greeted by a slew of faces. Whoa!
Oh, everybody!
Whoa!
Well, I was gonna say everybody's here, but not everybody's here. A lot of people are here.
The two best side characters. No, well, one of them's missing. I need a whole visual novel that's just Micah, Kudzu, and Raven going on adventures together.
And then I like how
they go on a ghost hunting road trip across the United States.
The deer boy is not even included.
No.
Sorry, dude.
I don't really care that much about Daxton.
I want the I don't really care much about Daxton either.
About Daxton or what's his name?
The deer dude.
The deer guy's the least.
The guy who didn't let us eat a sandwich.
Yeah.
But I do want the red panda man to show up again.
Inji.
I liked him.
Those three are my favorite though. I was not ready for Micah to show up again. Were you Micah?
I was Micah.
I think you were every
I was
side
everybody
character.
Here except for TJ.
Except for TJ.
This is a load of fresh shit, you know that? I fucking forgot Kuzu's voice. What do you mean when you say we can't leave?
Everyone seems to be gathering around the front entrance, the headlights of half a dozen cars lining up as we exit. Most eyes are on Auntie. The air is this sort of smoky tinge to it, like someone's cooking something. I wonder if it's from the fire I saw earlier.
Y'all came here because you wanted answers. Now, are you gonna listen to them or not?
I recognize most of the people in the crowd. Janice, Duke, Kudzu, Micah, Heather, Mark, and shit, about a dozen more. Just thinking, it's a small town, so they would all know each other for the most part. I'm kind of surprised. I'm a little surprised Flynn recognizes Micah just because he ran away for years.
Yeah, and in this timeline, as far as we know, he hasn't
met him since. Yeah, but Kudzu is literally Leo's neighbor.
Well, I guess Flynn might be obligated to know most of the people because of his work.
This is a wacky, it's an interesting format break because you just don't expect the characters that are the companion of each route to show up over again.
Well, it's also, I think, justifies again why this should be the last route, because this would be a spoiler of these characters if you had played this one first.
Sure, but all those routes came out first.
Oh, well, I forget about, I'm looking at it as a person who's seen the complete game, you know?
Yeah.
Because if a person would go play it now, people argue about, the order in which you should play it.
I just registered. Yeah. That's interesting. Because Flynn's route came out before Jenna's route, I think. Which means this is Micah's first appearance.
Oh.
Micah's route didn't exist yet. So there just suddenly is this extremely eye-catching, distracting original character do not steal looking bad.
I say
definitely
main character, who's the anime, who's the protagonist?
Yeah, which one of these is the JoJo's protagonist? Fucking Micah walks in, you're like, what's up with what is this character?
Which one of these characters uses a stand?
This would be a pretty wild first introduction to seeing this character, especially if he just leaves and you get nothing else.
Yeah.
Like the tattoos, the shirt, the fucking booty shorts, his tucked in tank top.
Dude,
there's so much going on.
I love that. You should recreate that outfit. We could do it.
Yeah, no,
I have those shorts pretty much.
No, I would dress up as Micah. It's a good character.
You need a fluffy thing to put around your neck, though.
Yeah, you need to recreate the. I've seen this before. I've seen bat fursuiters that have like a gray boa that they wear.
Yeah.
To recreate the idea. It'd be great. It'd be hard to recreate the perfect illegibility of his shirt, which is a mystery to this day for so many people. Like, we were able to unpack the fact... I was able to zoom in and unpack the fact that it says "Purdy, please." But no one else knows what it is.
It took some total crime scene investigation, zoom in, enhance the image.
I have literally never seen a fan art of Micah that has the correct text on the shirt. they either draw a gibberish shape or they just make up new things for it to say and give up. They never know what it says, which is a little funny because it's not that hard to figure out. You just have to zoom in. What I did is I manually colored each letter shape a different color, alternating between black and white until the ending result was legible. It wasn't that hard.
Keith's just a genius over
I
here.
am. I have contributed to the Echo canon, including telling McSkinny that the fucking that prequel story was quoting The Fault in Our Stars. I'll educate the creators about Echo canon. God damn it! Some of them look downright terrified, almost like they're in a horror visual novel. It is funny that the more we get through some of these routes, the less we even encounter the horror stuff. Like, our characters are increasingly dodging the occurrences of it and not even knowing about it. Like, even to the point where, like, the foreshadowing, like TJ running down the street swatting at invisible things, just doesn't happen in some cases. And you're just like, like, the characters aren't even suspecting that such stuff's going down around them.
I mean, to create something like this must be... There's so many moving parts. It must be so difficult to, like, keep track and, like, hold on to, like, every like, motif and facet and thing that you want to, like, play on. And honestly, in my opinion, the truest horrors are those that are introspective anyway. So you don't even necessarily need like outside influence for something to be absolutely fucking horrifying.
It's just the very different approaches. Like Carl's route, they get stuck in a completely isolated dimension thing. But even then, there was still the Duke scene that like foreshadows something's up in Echo itself. And then in Jenna and Leo's route, you're just diving into the mess. Like, so much shit is happening right at them. To the point where you then get to TJ's route, and it's such an effective piece of horror because you're just waiting for the... Like, you have this horror of, like, not knowing what is up with Chase and what TJ's accusing someone of and where this mystery is leading. But you also have the background stress of, like, the days are progressing. Echo goes to shit. Like, this is gonna be bad, and it just keeps not happening. And you're like, what does that mean? And it keeps going. Aside from being attacked by that thing in the woods with Chase, it just the whole Troubles bad thing just never comes up. And that itself was the horror. Was the idea like this? They dug at like what was essentially like the cause of it, and they ended up deflecting its event. And then you get to Flynn's route, and they're just so wrapped up in their interpersonal drama bullshit that they literally aren't even noticing the horror town breaking down because they're so busy just being at each other's throats this entire route that they're too busy being a gay mess to notice Silent Hill's happening. It's incredible. Others, like Micah, the klepto shithead from Tetanus Alley. That's
an intro right there.
What a Dark Souls name to have as a boss fight.
Micah, the klepto shithead from Tetanus Valley. Music starts.
Yeah, music just starts playing and a health bar pops up and it says Micah, the klepto shithead. He's my favorite. He's great. What an incredible nightmare character. Others, like Micah, the klepto shithead from Tetanus Alley, just looks pissed, agitated by whatever the hell Auntie is saying. I can see Duke, the old widower who lives next to Leo, somewhere back by his car. He's not looking at my Auntie anymore. He's fixated on Chase with this sort of 1,000-yard stare.
Wonder why.
From the back of the crowd, I see the lumbering figure of Leo. Outside of us, he pushes his way through.
Why are you naked?
This is the most characters that have ever been in a location together.
My love, cover your shame.
I know there's a lot going on here, but if Leo doesn't even react to Micah being here, it's a little heartbreaking.
Oh, he shoves Micah aside to get to Chase.
Yeah, just swap. It's like, oh wow, it's a metaphor for what happened in Route 65.
Yeah, a little bit.
He just shoved Micah aside. Chase. Leo stops, rubbing the back of his neck and looking off to the side as he notes the otter's state of undress. You're back. And you're naked. You're gonna have to swaddle him in your shirt, Leo. Like you gotta recreate like Amicus's underwear using your shirt on Chase to cover him.
Well, he's got underwear on.
Yeah. Chase has
Little chonies.
Chase has this weird sort of look on his face, like he's never seen Leo before in his life. Like this is some incredibly awkward encounter with a stranger. Yeah. Black Widow bit me. And that... and that made you naked?
It's just Black Widow bites you, it's like poof, your clothes just fly off of you.
Leo turns, looking to me suspiciously. Fuck you. I didn't do it. God, I have no time for this shit anymore. Leo's brow furrows. I keep expecting him to jolt out his arm and slug me, but he just looks tired and confused. I sat in the nest of a whole bunch of them, and they got everywhere. That's awful. That's awful. Are you alright? Leo brings his large paw up to Chase's shoulder. Chase flinches, and the wolf quickly releases his grasp, giving the otter a quizzical look. I'm okay. Well, not really, but, you know. He rubs the bite area of his neck, biting his cheek as he stares at the gravel between his feet. I don't know, Chase. We need to get you to a doctor. But I have to ask, why'd you run off earlier? I didn't mean to. I just did. Chase, that doesn't make any sense, yeah? Auntie begins to speak up again.
Let's talk plain like. Most of y'all are seeing things, bad things. And some folk around here have started acting real strange, more so than the usual suspects on their bouts with the happy juice. And nobody's getting any tower or satellite signals from the phones and internet. Landline's fuzzy too.
A couple of people nod. Mike is now looking over his shoulder, seemingly unfocused on what Auntie's saying.
Mark tried to head off to Peyton to see if the county offices knew what was going on. He got about as far as the Flint turnoff before he found himself at the old Route 65 leading back into town. He tells me he tried 3 times to get through. No luck.
Well, that's lucky of him.
Yeah, because he didn't encounter a monster.
Yeah. Little do they know when they say no luck, because he was incredibly lucky because
he didn't
characters
die.
have gone have done much worse trying to leave Echo.
Now, I would have slapped him on the head with a roll of newspaper and told him to take his clown into the circus, if I hadn't heard the same sort of thing from my grandpa decades ago. Folk traveling in buggies trying to escape the madness of this town, but they got snared in one hell of a web. If y'all have been thinking your dreams have been getting real queer-like as of late, you ain't alone. It's been getting worse. Like, I was packing my bags to get out before it hit.
Who would be having queer dreams in this town?
Yeah, none of the casts.
Like Jenna said, there must be something in the water.
Yeah, there's a high ratio of queers in this town. It's the happy juice.
I wasn't ready to leave. I remember telling Auntie I wanted to stay for Carl's interview, but I wanted to also see if I could get to the bottom of shit with TJ too.
So, you're saying there's no way out? That we're in, what, an inescapable bubble? Sweetheart, it's like the tide. It goes in, it's pulled out, and sometimes it pulls stuff with it. My grandpa, God rest his soul, told me it was attracted to the uncouthness of man, the ires and destinies with which we cannot unshackle ourselves. Simple sin.
A mournful look crosses her face and she takes a deep breath.
Mark.
She looks over to the horned toad, our town's treasurer. Does he have a spray?
I hope...
A horned toad named Mark.
I don't think he's gonna...
No.
But I think that sounds adorable, I want to say. His name's fucking Mark, and he's a big toad. That's so cute.
I don't expect to be able to find it this easily, but let's see.
Keith's gonna look up Mark the toad.
Mark underscore parentheses echo. Page empty, no post. Nope. No luck with that.
I just
that
think
exact tag does not exist. It does exist for the horse that Daxton talked about at Astra with.
Well, because people want to fuck him.
Yeah, there's art of them together. Did I show you that?
Yes, it was very cute.
In a few instances, people have quietly shipped him with that unseen middle-aged man.
I mean, I think toads are adorable, but I think in terms of being an anthropomorphic, they're kind of frumpy looking, but that's what makes me like them more. I just don't think you're going to find as much fan art of, like, a toad as you would a horse, for obvious reasons.
Yeah. People make amphibian characters, though. I feel like frogs aren't super common compared to other more lizardy-looking amphibians.
Dude, Kermit's a handsome boy. Just gonna throw that out there.
Kermit.
Kermit.
He's standing by his black 4-door SUV. I always made fun of him for buying it. Black cars in the desert ain't a good mix unless you're keen on baking.
That is a good point.
I love brownies. He reaches into the car and pulls out a lumpy something wrapped in a flamboyantly colored beach towel. I guess you can have not flamboyantly covered beach towels, but that's like the minority.
Why would you ever do that? Like the whole point is to have them be extra fun.
That's the contrast between beach towels and bath towels. Beach towels are almost always like some kind of garish print or like bright color pattern or something.
I mean, to be fair, I would definitely use beach towels as bath towels if they were as absorbent, because I think the point of beach towels is you just lay on them on the beach.
Yeah, they're too thin and like
thin.
kind of sandpapery. They're kind of iffy.
Yeah.
Compared to ones that you're supposed to rub your face on. I used to always have a cheetah on my beach towel.
I know, because I was given your towel when I moved in here.
Oh my god, that's very old.
And it might still be in our bathroom right now.
Wow.
If not, it might have gotten a hole in it and I had to throw it away. But I was given your towel.
That's funny.
Which is funny.
Didn't even know it was around still. It's probably from when I was like 8, going to like Pismo.
It looked like it was from when you were 8 and from Pismo.
Yeah. I recognize the faded logo in the corner as one from Southwestern Adventures. An old souvenir, maybe.
There's probably shirts that are Southwestern Adventure shirts, too.
I wouldn't expect a theme park towel to be flamboyantly colored.
Well, no, because they are flamboyantly colored, because if like you go to like Six Flags or something, they sell you one for if you're on the water rides. Yeah. And they're at the touristy spot, at a little souvenir gift shop.
Yeah, I just figure it's a giant logo, though.
Yeah, but logos are all colorful and shit. They're probably,
Mark Herks as he steps in front of the mayor with it, sitting on the ground.
Rub it.
The first thing I see are the feet sticking out of the end.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
I thought...
It's a bigger tower than... Okay, someone in the back, Heather, I think, screams.
Oh my god!
It's a banshee-like wail as Mark pulls back the fabric.
No! Keith!
What?
Oh, shit. For a second...
What?
I read that without thinking, because I was like, wait, she's not talking to you. She's talking about the key in the game.
What?
That doesn't make sense.
What? How could it be Keith?
Because wouldn't he... He's been gone for a long time.
Yeah, he's been gone for a while, right?
So he shouldn't have feet still if he's been gone for a while.
I don't know if we technically know exactly when he died.
Yeah.
Because we know he paired off with Brian. They had like Keith and Brian's Beer Shack or whatever was like the thing we walked by in Route 65, which at the time, I guess because he was missing from his mom's perspective, I was under the impression that he was dead already back then, but maybe they were currently together and he was gone for a while.
But in Route 65, it was abandoned already. That shack was abandoned because that's where we...
Yeah, and he couldn't have been... They couldn't have been together for that long, given how Brian is. So
Well, I think Brian was okay before. I mean, was more okay before Keith's disappearance. I think Keith's disappearance kind of fucked.
I don't think
him
Keith
up.
was even first, was he?
Probably not.
Well, Brian. It's not that Keith disappeared; it's that Brian killed Keith.
Well, I know, but I think Brian. Yeah.
'Cause he
Oh
killed
yeah.
everyone.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
Keith was probably like tortured and strangled for days until he finally died. Like most of them were.
Yeah. Because Brian had issues ever since he was a kid.
Yeah.
With the aliens and all that.
Like he
shit.
went out bad, but I don't think he was the first one.
But I think he cared the most about Keith. I think was his favorite one.
I think the general interpretation people have, because Keith sounds like some kind of saint whenever he comes up in the background, is that people thought that, like, people think that Keith thought he could, like, fix Brian or something, like he could see the goodness in anyone or
fix
something.
Him.
Which is he was wrong. He can't.
Yeah.
He really can't, actually.
That I wouldn't try with that one. I mean,
But yeah, I'm not totally sure on how there's a recognizable body. The timeline got confusing for me here, especially since you would think he'd be buried in the mine.
and then you think they would have came back with a bunch of other bodies if they found his. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
If they excavate there, they're finding a bunch of dead people.
it seemed like everyone seems to be buried in the mine, and also I think Heather was being haunted by like a Keith tulpa in her story, but I guess because of Chase, like we know from Chase, it's not like that means he has to be dead. That's just that's them making up a thing.
Watch the next line be like, "No, you dumb bitch, this is somebody else."
Micah. This is what Micah was looking for before. Yeah, maybe he still is wearing his like recognizable clothes from that photo, the only clothes he's ever worn.
Maybe his feet are just skeleton feet.
Oh.
See, I told you. Okay, I was like,
okay, so this.
I was
is
like,
how
we're gonna
Heather-
talk about this for 20 minutes, and then it's not
Yeah.
gonna be.
This is how Heather is. Okay, Heather just hallucinates Keith a lot. I was like, I don't think that there's any universe where this could be Keith. It's not Keith. At first, it's
Oh my
difficult to
God.
tell exactly what I'm looking at, but after a few moments, I can clearly see who it is. I think Desert Fox is like Jeremy was a Desert Fox.
Or
And
like I said,
was
Heather
alive
could
last
just
time we
be
checked.
a dumb bitch, and it could be someone. It could be like a fucking bird, bird feet.
That's not even a Desert Fox. That's
someone we don't know.
doesn't even have the right type of feet, Heather. Heather, you were so far off.
That's what I'm saying. Heather's a dumb bitch.
I think he might have been in the CG of The Party in 65.
I like him. He's cool.
I think there might have been a boar in that scene. His eyes are out.
Are they? I thought they were just closed.
I think they're out. I'm not sure. But this is brutal.
That's Salem. Keith. Jesus.
No.
Sorry, I meant Jenna should have been.
That's not Jesus.
Jenna's reaction should have been more like, Jesus. But I was responding to Heather. I was like, oh, Jesus. Oh, annoying.
Like she just yelled right next to your ear.
Ah, Jesus. Shut up.
TJ begins to sob, his terrified sniffles mixing with Heather's confused, shrill cries. The boar is covered in lacerations, most of which are on his face. 2 swipes of whatever cut him seem to have torn his eyes and part of his snout. I always thought when someone had their eyes taken out, it'd just be black holes inside, but it's pink.
I know that because my dog's missing an eye.
Yeah.
And her eyeball's pink.
Yeah, although she has like half of an eye or something.
It's very weird.
It's confusing.
It's half there, but it healed itself. So there's like a pink layer of skin over one of her eyes, but you can see the little half of the pupil move around under the pink skin.
Kiki's weird. Yeah, Stephanie's dog has 1.5 eyes, basically.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You just get used to. For a while, because like she wouldn't hold still when I moved in here, so I couldn't get a good look at it for a long time. I just thought she had like an infection or something.
Well, that's why
I couldn't tell if she had a missing eye or not. Like I don't mean like I mean like I thought she had a full eye that was infected.
Well, that's why I always tell people. I always tell them immediately when I first meet them. I get very self-conscious about it. I always say,
Yeah.
"Oh, she's missing an eye," because I don't want them to think that I'm not taking care of my dog.
Or confused about it.
She's just
yeah.
like that.
She doesn't. Yep. She doesn't have an eye. And he did like the painkiller test to figure out whether or not she was in pain by like putting her on some and then like weaning her off to see if her behavior changed or something.
It didn't. She's just super happy all the time.
Yep.
She's bonks into stuff.
This is the there's not that much photo of Kiki everywhere, so whenever people draw fan art of her, they always draw her with 2 eyes. Like,
Raw.
That's fine. But
no, it's fine. It is better Kiki. It is
the,
correct Kiki.
The photos of Kiki
one
that are used as like Discord emojis are all like side shots, so it's not clear. And of course, you use photos of the side that has the eye. Like I'm looking into the guy's brain. I feel like I'm gonna hurl.
What happened to him? He tried to leave. Yeah, but how did that happen?
The raccoon, who up to this point I've never seen as anything but the strong, silent type, looks shaken up bad. He clutches his forehead with a paw, shaking his head.
God. For a second he looked like somebody else.
Because his lover was killed in like a mugging with a knife, I think. He got stabbed.
Yeah.
So this is not a good moment for him. I barely know Salem. He's a recent move-in. Imagine moving into Echo.
Why?
Your life's not going... That's not a good life. Like,
No.
things are not going well if that's the life choice you're leading into. There's just not... There's nothing that would bring you here. He's a recent move-in who originally squatted on vacant land in an RV until the landowner started making him pay to live there. He kept to himself, never even said 2 words to the guy. That's an accomplishment when you're stuck in a town with just about 50 people still living here. At this rate, we've met all of them.
Yeah, just about, honestly.
Whenever there's new characters, I'm like, there's still new characters? We haven't run out?
Mark tells me that the 3rd time he tried to leave, he saw him just laying there on the side of the road next to his RV, dead as a doorknob. So to answer your question, Coon Boy, I don't know.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I was like,
Hang on a minute.
yeah, no.
No.
Especially because I gave her a southern accent too, so it really doesn't help.
There's a there's a lot of memes online of like Walter White yelling out of that window from the Ozymandias episode of Breaking Bad, where it's always like, no, don't do that. It's like it was like him trying to rescue Hank, but it's always like this like somewhat like helplessly watching a big mistake happen online is what the meme is basically. And one of the big ones is like, it's like, no, don't abbreviate raccoon like that. Don't do it. Stop. You could, oh my goodness.
It's unfortunate that racists ruin everything.
Yeah.
Because that is a very convenient way to abbreviate the word raccoon.
Yeah, it's just, and then you have people say coonskins and stuff like that. Like it is an existing term.
And then like you have the cats that are Maine Coons because they're from the state of Maine, but they're so big people used to call them like raccoons. So they're like Maine Coon is a type of cat, but it's like.
And it's such a weird, outdated term that like you don't even. It is easy to not think about it. Like in my Beastars essay, I just kind of like uncritically repeated the name of an old webcomic, which was once upon called Closet Coon, and that's unfortunate because it's just about a raccoon, but for reason like I didn't know this at the time, but unsurprisingly that comic has rebranded to Raccoony because it's someone at some point probably told him not to call his comic that anymore. It's like, whoops.
Yeah, those are, yeah.
Yeah.
And it like I said, it's unfortunate that racists ruin everything because I got called out on Tinder for using the OK symbol because I didn't know it was a racist dog whistle at the time because I liked the symbol OK because it is really convenient. And then I was like, I'm really sorry. I took down a very cute picture of me, and I'm mad because it was such a fucking cute picture. But and it's funny because I was chatting with a black dude, and he was like, "You're not a white supremacist, are you?" I'm like, why would you ask me that? And he's like, your picture. And I'm like, what? And he had to explain it to me. And I'm like, damn it, they ruined another thing that I can't use that was just a normal thing up until right now.
Yeah.
Fuck them, racists.
There was a period where that was harder to take seriously, but then it just kept getting worse.
Well, I had to take it seriously.
In worse situations.
If a black dude was like took it seriously, then I'm like, oh, this is obvious. I mean, I never heard of it up until that point, but obviously, if he took it seriously, then it is actually a problem. And I'm like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, internet.
No, it hit a point. It hit a point where like it literally was like like that symbol was showing up in mass shootings and stuff. Like it's got that far. It's
but
like,
it's so convenient. No, it sucks. Please don't take away the fuck you flipping the bird. Like, please don't. Like, is that next? Is thumbs up next? If thumbs up is next, I'm fucked. 'Cause I thumbs up all the time.
You don't know?
Oh, do not even joke with me about that.